So absolutely delighted to be here with AAPE again, and it's always an honour and privilege to be invited and to spend time with you. I've really enjoyed this morning. I think it was an exceptional start to the conference, and I'm going to hopefully bring a little bit of the international perspective of advanced practice research and also think about some of the other pillars. I will hold my hands up now and say that in general, I'm going to be talking about the advanced practice nurse arena because globally, the UK is one of the first countries to really focus on advanced clinical practice. And in my day job, I'm Professor of Advanced Practice at the University of Huddersfield, and I'm absolutely passionate about developing advanced practice across all disciplines. So please don't think because I'm mainly talking about nursing that I'm not as passionate about the other disciplines, because I am, and I'm in discussion with other countries about how they can develop other disciplines as well. So, as said, Professor of Advanced Practice and also spirituality, which is my other passion about how we ensure patients have hope, meaning, and purpose. I've been around for a long time, trained as a nurse practitioner 25 years ago, and I still work clinically. And I am the current director of the ICN Nurse Practitioner Advanced Practice Nurse Network Global Academy of Research and Enterprise, which is the first of its kind globally. So initially, what we're going to talk about is the network and how you can get involved. And that doesn't mean if you're not a nurse, you can't be involved, because it's all of our colleagues who are looking at advanced practice. I'm going to talk about some of our plans to promote our next generation and think about how we can encourage people in terms of leadership and research. I'm going to talk about some of the research that we've been involved in over the last 15 years or so, and some of the plans that we have for really developing advanced practice globally. Most of you will be very familiar with some of the global players, and I just wanted to set the scene really for thinking about who it is that is worth getting involved in terms of your role in promoting advanced practice. So World Health Organization, we all know very, very well. And the organization has focused very much on the threats to global health, the Alma Ata, which was revised in 2018. We have the recent State of the World Nursing and Midwifery in 2020. And recently, WHO have focused on a global strategy for human resources for health and workforce. And I've been lucky enough to work with a number of colleagues at WHO in the different regions to look at how we can really encourage and support the development of advanced practice. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that shortly. The United Nations is obviously focusing on maintaining international peace and security, but has talked very clearly about the Charter and the Declaration of Human Rights, and more recently has their focus on the Sustainable Development Goals agenda. The ICN was founded in 1899, and I'm proud to say that it was founded by people from the United Kingdom, and particularly Edith Bedford Thenick, who was one of our pioneers from St Bartholomew's, where I trained. And this is an organisation of 130 national nursing associations representing 20 million nurses. And recently, the RCN rejoined ICN, which has been fantastic news, so we can actually work much more closely with our international colleagues. But the mission of the ICN is to represent nursing and to advance the profession and to influence health policy. And there's been a real focus on how practitioners can make a difference in terms of the Sustainable Development Goals, as well as addressing all of the other key areas in terms of universal health coverage, immunisation, ageing, and so forth. So the International nurse practitioner network has been around, as I said, for the last 20 years. We actually have 121 countries now represented. I got a paper yesterday to say of our additional membership. And the key goal of this network is particularly focusing on advanced practice. In many, many countries, that is nursing advanced practice, and there's been a real focus on trying to get some global consensus around how we use the title. We comprise of 6 subgroups which look at education, practice, research, health policy, communication, and over the last couple of years we've really worked closely with our student membership to really think about how we grow the next generation and how we ensure that students take a place at the table in terms of leadership. A number of years ago, I spoke at AAPE about the developments of the Advanced Practice Nurse Guidelines, and there has been debate and controversy around this. But just for background, how it developed is obviously we published in 2020, but we spent the previous 5 years working with international representatives from over 33 countries and 130 national nurses association to really consider some of the issues in terms of defining advanced practice. We published in 2020 and we have publications in English, French and Spanish, and it's recently been translated in Japan. And there's discussion papers around how we brought all the key players together and developed a consensus. But the outcome of the guidelines was to develop an overarching term for advanced practice nursing. So we talked about the aspiration to ensure that advanced practice is at master's degree, and that's very difficult for some countries who are where the UK was 20 odd years ago that are maybe looking at diploma level, moving to degree level, moving to master's level. The key aspects we have identified as the expert knowledge base, complex decision-making skills, and clinical competencies. But really important, and I'm really passionate about this in terms of advanced practice, that the characteristics must be shaped by the context of which they're credentialed to practice. So I'm often asked to go and talk to different countries about the development of advanced practice. And I don't want to say, look, take the UK model, take the US model, because it must be developed by the context. So we all know that a number of countries have a number of advanced practice roles, but globally, the 2 main roles that are really well recognised are that of the clinical nurse specialist and the nurse practitioner. I've also just put on the slide a little bit just to remind people about Nursing Now. And those of you who are very aware of the history of advanced practice will know Barbara Stillwell very well, who was the director of Nursing Now. And although the focus was on nursing across the board, they really supported the development of advanced practice. And finally, Sigma Theta Tau has had a real influence in terms of developing the excellence of nursing and trying to promote scholarship, leadership and service across the globe. So, what are some of the key global challenges still? As we know, we have had this ongoing discussion across the UK around title protection, and that is played out in other countries across the world. There are still issues in terms of regulatory issues, the lack of role clarity, resistance to change, often medical and nursing, but it is across other areas as well. Organizational constraints, and when global players come to produce their scope of practice, there is still issues then, can people actually practice? Prescriptive authority, lack of support, difficulties in terms of educational curricula, supervision opportunities has been talked about a lot this morning, appropriate clinical placements, transitional challenges, how we develop confidence and competence once our trainees graduate, and also patient acceptance. So we know that over 400 million people lack access to health services, and we know that advanced practitioners, and not just advanced practice nurses, but as across the board, we make a real positive impact in addressing universal health coverage and the Sustainable Development Goals. And the key for me about advanced practice globally is that we can provide that holistic approach to care, that we see our patients through the care journey and the continuum, and that we're highly skilled professionals. But we do need to work across the globe to address the issues that I've talked about already. So I just want to spend a few minutes thinking about some of the research that has emerged globally, particularly addressing some of the hidden pillars. And recently, we've done a lot of work around the impact of COVID in terms of advanced practice nurses, but also advanced clinical practitioners in the UK. So we had two arms to the study. One was looking globally at advanced practice nurses, and the second was looking at ACPs. And non-surprisingly, there has been a significant impact in terms of well-being and resilience. And we're now working with the Foundation of Nursing Studies to put in a programme of resilience-based clinical supervision. We've launched that in the UK for trainee students, and we're about to launch it globally for advanced practice nurses. A number of my colleagues have been involved in a SWOT analysis looking at practice, education and regulation. We've mapped competency across 19 countries, and that's just being updated at the moment. And we've also surveyed the countries that are members of the network to look at practice, education, regulation. I'm really proud to be involved with the Anglo-African APN Coalition, and we've developed that further, and many of you know Bongi Sibanda, who's done a lot of work in this area. But currently, 85% of African countries have a majority of their population who have little or no access to healthcare. And we're really keen to support the development of advanced practice across those countries. We've been involved in job satisfaction work and also faculty mentoring for countries that are looking to develop advanced practice, and most recently been involved with the development of a programme in Hungary. And we've also been involved in clinical education surveys across the globe. So what are we doing now? We are just finishing phase 2 of our study into the emotional and spiritual well-being of resilience. As I said, we're working with colleagues in Africa to really develop advanced practice nursing there. And at the moment, we have 4 countries who are developed or developing in terms of advanced practice, that being Botswana, Eswatini, Ghana, and I'm really pleased that our Kenyan colleagues on the call, because they have recently launched their advanced practice scope of practice. We are at the moment undertaking the largest systematic review of the gaps of advanced practice literature and empirical work, and a number of colleagues from AAPE are involved in that. And what we're hoping to do from that is to really develop a strategic approach for research in terms of the Global Academy for Research and Enterprise. So we'll all know of the literature and the empirical work around patient satisfaction, around patients, around cost effectiveness that is often talked about, but there needs to be more nuanced research in terms of the advanced practice nurse role. We've launched recently a study looking at perceptions of spirituality, and that's open for advanced practice nurses and advanced clinical practitioners. And we're about to launch a series of webinars to really look at what some of the global challenges are. I'm really, really excited about an initiative that Colette Henderson from Dundee has proposed in terms of developing the next generation. So we're looking at developing a support group for doctoral and early career researchers. And my hope is that these will be the next generation to take forward leadership, research, education, as well as our clinical practice. We have our conference coming up in Dublin, and we'd be delighted for any of you to come and attend. This is hosted by the Irish Nursing and Midwifery Advanced Practice colleagues, and we're focusing on shaping the future of healthcare. You're more than welcome to be involved and look at how you develop yourself. As I said, we have a number of subgroups that you can get involved in. You can get involved in some of the academies, work in terms of advanced practice, and you can join for free. So there's no charge for the membership. You receive a bulletin twice a year. We have a very active social network in terms of Facebook and Twitter, and we're really keen, as I said, to look at how we develop colleagues in terms of opportunities to get a seat at the table in terms of policy, to develop their leadership skills, their research skills, their education skills, and their clinical skills. And as we've talked about this morning, these aren't areas that have to be kind of at the table with WHO. We can be a leader in the way that we role model our practice, the way we develop our colleagues, the way we support advanced practice, whether that's locally, regionally, nationally, or internationally. If you want some inspiration in terms of areas to develop for yourself, the Springer series in advanced practice has been really popular. We've recently written around leadership of advanced practice in the UK, Annabella Gloucester, who you heard in the panel, and we're now working on another book which is looking at advanced practice globally. So we know the way to get started is to quit talking and to begin doing. And my work internationally has really given me an insight into how we can really make a significant difference. And I think when we think about the hidden pillars, it's always people think, oh, I need to be involved in a huge research project, or I need to really be thinking about education in terms of, do I go back and teach at university? And actually, we can take our hidden pillars and really embed them in our day-to-day work. So I still work clinically, and I integrate leadership, research, management, education into all of my consultations. I hope that I come across in my work as a role model for colleagues, and that I can encourage people to really take steps in bringing together the pillars into their whole areas of practice. I'm really lucky that I work with such a fantastic ACP team at the University of Huddersfield, and all of the team take the opportunity to be involved in different areas of research, education, leadership, as well as our clinical work. So there are always opportunities to develop, and I hope that I can encourage you that if you feel that actually I haven't been able to develop in those areas, that there are opportunities for you. And as I said, those are locally, nationally, internationally. And please do feel that you can always get in touch. I'm more than happy to talk about additional opportunities, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. So again, huge congratulations to AAPE on this fantastic virtual conference. I understand it's the largest attendance that we've ever had. It is fantastic to see how AAPE are developing in terms of their work internationally, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.